then, and Tobias Ellwood. Now, Tobias Ellwood, known very well as an MP, but also a reservist with 77th Brigade. He has been in Afghanistan, and he pushed out a little bit of video on his Twitter feed a couple of days ago, which caused quite a furore. We're just going to look at 20 seconds of it or so.
Here back in Helmand province in Afghanistan, courtesy of the Halo Trust, and all that's happened here since 9/11. This is a very different country indeed. It feels different now that the Taliban have returned to power.
Well, it may be hard to believe, but security has vastly improved, corruption is down, and the opium trade has all but disappeared.
So that was quite an amazing, it went on for another couple of minutes, and it was very positive, very excited about what the Taliban's doing, and so on. Unfortunately, the response he got wasn't so good, because he, of course, current chairman of the Defence Select Committee, 4 of the other Defence Select Committee members, so that Mark Francois, Richard Drax, Kevin Jones and Derek Twigg. Well, first of all, they called him an effing idiot. But then they decided that the best thing to do would be to oust him as chairman of the Defence Select Committee. So they've put a motion in to do that. It remains to be seen what will happen. So Tobias Ellwood very rapidly took the tweet down and replaced it with this one, which is basically giving an apology. However well-intentioned, reflections of my personal visit could have been worded better. It wasn't just worded badly, it was the happy, clappy music in behind. It was an absolute propaganda piece. But anyway, this isn't the main point. I didn't want to focus too much on that. I wanted to focus on the BBC's reaction, because here they are. This is the article that they published. MP claims Afghanistan a country transformed. And they were so irate about what Tobias Ellwood did, they decided to focus on many of the points that he made. But I just wanted to pick the opium trade issue. In his tweet, they write, Mr. Ellwood wrote that the opium trade ended, brackets, although the accompanying video, he qualified it by saying the trade had all but disappeared. However, this claim is incorrect. This is their claim. The claim is incorrect. No, it's absolutely definitive. Opium cultivation, they say, in 2022 was up by 32% compared with 2021, according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. Now, that last sentence is correct. That's correct. But before we explain why the sentiment is wrong, let's just inform you all about who has written this, because this is a report from BBC Vilify. So, of course, it must be absolutely true, mustn't it? But let's just have a look at another article that the BBC published only a couple of weeks ago, where they were absolutely crying about the fact that the Taliban had slashed the poppy crops in the last few months. Inside the Taliban's war on drugs, opium poppy crops slashed. And let's look at the quote. The Taliban's decree wasn't applied to the 2022 opium harvest, which, according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, increased by 1/3 over 2021. So the BBC Vilify article has made that point. But this article goes on to say, this year, though, is very different. The evidence we saw on the ground is backed up by imagery taken from above. So the BBC has itself confirmed a couple of weeks ago what Tobias Ellwood has said in his little video. And then the BBC has written an article saying that Tobias Ellwood was wrong. So the BBC seems to be very, very confused about what reality is. And BBC Vilify seems to be very confused about what reality is, because it's clear, Alex, isn't it, that in fact, reality is whatever suits the political narrative at the time, and the BBC always wants to push the political narrative at the time.
There is this unspoken imperative, isn't there, at the BBC and other public broadcasters to please the master. That's what the increasing numbers of whistleblowers coming out of mainstream journalism, legacy media, as Brian correctly calls it, they're all telling us this, that if you know what side your bread is buttered, as we often say in Britain, you will not criticise, you will not bite the hand that feeds. You know, that going back to Sir Richard in Prague as well, I mean, he started his speech, I know this isn't the BBC, but he started his speech by saying, I should come humbly, any Brit should come humbly to the Czechs because of the past and the wartime past. But he didn't see fit to mention Monty Norman helping the Nazis filch Czech gold, did he? As Pat mentioned earlier in the news, that was left out.
Indeed. Okay, let's come on.